If you are new, welcome. We're thankful to have you join us. Please subscribe and leave a comment to support the channel. As mentioned before, we will be doing a free giveaway at the end of the month for our loyal viewers to show appreciation, so be sure notifications are turned on. We drop videos weekly. If you are returning, welcome back. Today we have 3 no-sleep horror stories, each darker and scarier than the last. So without further ado, let's begin. That's not my neighbor, posted by you. Never slept again. 3-7, I've lived in this cul-de-sac for 5 years. It's one of those cookie-cutter neighborhoods, where every house has the same vinyl siding and porch lights go on at 7 sharp. You'd think nothing bad could happen here, but you'd be wrong. Something is happening, and no one will admit it. It started 2 months ago with the woman across the street, Ms. Kerr, widowed, 70-something, always trimming her roses. Then one day she was just off. At first it was little things. Her porch light, which never stayed on past 9, began blinking erratically throughout the night. Her curtains were always drawn now. Her roses started dying. The neighborhood chalked it up to age or grief. Then came the voice. I was walking home from work late, maybe 1:30 a.m. The street was dead silent. I passed her house and heard her talking. But not like phone talking. She was talking to herself, loud, agitated, repeating a phrase over and over. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. I froze. I thought about calling out to her, but something in her tone made my chest tighten. It wasn't scared. It wasn't even sad. It was angry. Inhuman, almost. The next morning, I went to check in on her. When she opened the door, I knew immediately. That wasn't Ms. Kerr. Her face was the same. Her voice was close, but her smile was wrong. It's too many teeth, too symmetrical. It never reached her eyes. She blinked at me like she was trying to remember how. Everything okay, Ms. Kerr? I asked. I'm better than okay, she replied slowly. I've been reborn. I laughed awkwardly, thinking maybe she was just going through some weird religious thing, but I couldn't stop staring at her eyes. They didn't track movement normally. They just twitched slightly, like a broken animatronic. That night, I watched her house from my upstairs window. At exactly 3:17 a.m., she walked outside. Stiff, mechanical movements. She stood in her yard and stared directly at my window for 30 minutes without blinking. Then she smiled. Wide, too wide. She wasn't the only one. Over the next week, I noticed the changes spreading. The retired mailman 2 doors down stopped walking his dog. The school teacher on the corner began wearing gloves all the time, even to mow the lawn. And the worst was the Sanchez twins. Sweet kids, always drawing on the sidewalk. One morning I saw them crouched in the driveway, their hands completely still for hours. When I finally went outside, their chalk drawings were just repeating loops of one phrase. He's wearing your father's face. I tried to tell people. I posted on the Nextdoor app, and the thread disappeared. I emailed local news. Nothing. When I mentioned it at work, someone joked about me going off the deep end. The worst part is my own girlfriend, Allie, started acting strange. She started sleep-talking. At first, it was garbled whispers, then names, then mine, over and over. Last week, I came home late and she was already in bed, or so I thought. I leaned down to kiss her forehead and she grabbed my wrist like a vice. Her eyes snapped open, wide, unblinking. Don't let it in. Then she passed out cold. No memory of it in the morning. Last night, I snapped. I decided to confront Ms. Kerr directly. I waited until 2 a.m., crossed the street, and walked around to her backyard. Her kitchen light was on, and I could see her standing at the sink, not moving. But there was another Ms. Kerr, outside, behind me. Breathing softly, she whispered, "It's wearing me like a mask. Nothing there." I ran back to my house, locked every door. When I looked out the window again, the kitchen was dark. But someone was standing in my driveway now, wearing my face. They're spreading, copying us. This morning, Allie made me breakfast. Perfect eggs, toast, coffee, just the way I like it. She smiled, wide, too wide. And her eyes didn't blink when the oil from the pan splattered onto her skin. 11:49 p.m. She's standing in the hallway. She keeps asking me how I want my coffee tomorrow. Over and over. Over and over. Over and over. Over and over. You still awake? Still wet. Tag on it says, room 209, because now is a good time to check your window. just in case someone's wearing your neighbor's face. Story 2. The room at the end of the hall posted by you, made Bist Alive 1991. I didn't know I was a foster kid until I was nearly 13. Before that, I just thought the world ended at the gates of Granfield House, the old Victorian mansion turned home for displaced youth. Nestled between dead cornfields and that useless stretch of county road where nothing ever drove. There were 6 of us that winter. Me, my bunkmate Alan, 2 twin girls named Marnie and Tess, little Darius, and a quiet girl called June. None of us knew how long we'd been there, not really. Dates didn't matter at Granfield. Time bent like wet cardboard in that house. We were all in different rooms, except for me and Alan. Room 6. The last one at the end of the hallway on the 2nd floor. It was always room 6. There were rules at Granfield. It's not ones written down or told by the staff, the parents, as we were made to call them. No, these rules were whispered at night. When the wind wasn't blowing and you could hear the walls creak like old joints settling, that's when the whispers came. Don't look in the mirror after midnight. Don't talk about the attic door. Don't say goodbye when someone leaves. Don't let them hear you cry. No one taught us the rules. We just knew them, like they were implanted. Like part of being in the house meant accepting that something was in charge, and it wasn't the foster staff. Alan was the first to break one. It happened in January 1994. He was whispering to himself in bed, saying goodbye to Darius. The little kid had vanished the day before, just gone. No staff mentioned it, no police. His bed was made by morning like he'd never existed. Goodbye, Dee, Alan whispered, half asleep. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, clutching the scratchy wool blanket, watching the doorway, listening. Sometime around 2 a.m., I heard it. A slow, dragging sound. Sheck, sheck, like bare feet moving across a wooden floor. But I hadn't heard the door open. I turned slowly. Alan was gone. His bed was still made. June and I were the only ones who talked about it. She was older, 15 maybe, and had eyes like she'd already seen the ending. They don't like goodbyes, she told me. Who? The real parents. The ones in the walls. The ones upstairs. She nodded toward the attic. It was padlocked, the kind with rusted hinges and a strange pale smear around the handle like something had gripped it with wet hands. I asked her if she'd heard the whispers too. She just smiled. Oh. They don't whisper to everyone. Only the ones they want to keep. By the end of February, it was just me and June. Marnie and Tess had vanished on the same night. Their beds were already stripped by morning. The staff told me the twins got placed in a loving home. I asked which one. They blinked. Looked confused. Changed the subject. The staff was part of it, or maybe not people at all. I started sleeping in the linen closet. Every night I'd hear the creaking from room 6, then the whispering would start. Come back to bed. You're not allowed to leave without permission. It's not polite to hide. Say goodnight. Not goodnight. Goodbye. The difference matters to them. The last night I woke up to the closet door wide open. June was standing there, eyes wide, trembling. I told them no, she whispered. Who? They asked me to follow the rules. I said no, they're angry. That's when we heard it. A soft thump upstairs. Then footsteps. But wrong. Like something dragging a sack up the wall. Fast. Clicking sounds, like fingernails, tapping baseboards. The attic door creaked open on its own. We ran, not down the stairs. That's where the staff waited, smiling too wide, not blinking, telling us to be good little children and return to your rooms. We went out the window in the laundry room, barefoot, bleeding. We didn't stop running until we hit the road. They found June's body 3 days later in a ditch 20 miles from Granfield. They said I imagined everything. Trauma from abandonment, they said. I was never in a place called Granfield House. They say my delusions were a mix of old asylum stories and repressed childhood. But I remember room 6. I remember Alan. And last week, I swear to God, someone left a note on my kitchen table in crayon. Just 6 words. Say goodnight before we tuck you in. Edit? 3:06 a.m. There's something creaking in the ceiling. I live in a 3rd floor apartment. There is no attic. But the whispers are back. I found my brother's name in the morgue ledger. The date was next week. I never believed the stories about St. Elora. You know, those creepy posts where someone finds a forgotten asylum with moldy patient records and blood on the floor? I used to scroll right past that crap. Reddit horror bait. Urban legend garbage. But then my brother disappeared. Daniel was 22, schizoaffective, but managing. Funny, bright, the kind of person who could quote obscure movies and then immediately say something devastatingly profound. He had episodes, yeah, but he never hurt anyone, least of all himself. So then one day he just vanished. The official report said he was taken into psychiatric care after a public disturbance. No one told me where. I called every hospital in the county. Nothing. After a week of digging, I found something strange. A single unsigned intake form buried in an old digital database from the 90s. The name was wrong. It's Daniel K., but the birth date matched. Under facility, it said. St. Elora Infirmary, North Ward. RM209. Status. Admitted. No scheduled release. No address, no website, just a name. I had to drive there. GPS couldn't find it. I used scanned directions from an old archived webpage, last updated in 2003. The kind of webpage with spinning skull gifs and Comic Sans. It took 5 hours of winding roads through gray pine and mud-slick gravel. The building sat like a tomb, 3 stories. Red brick faded to brown. Most windows were boarded. One single light was on in the east wing. No signs. Just a rusted gate chained with dental wire. Rang a bell that wasn't attached to anything. The door opened on its own. Inside was silent. The smell hit me first. Mildew, iodine, rust. Not blood. Just years. Less than something old still trying to rot. The walls were green in patches, peeling moist. The front desk was empty, but the logbook was open. I flipped back a few pages. There was no Daniel, no patients with a K, no one admitted in the last 2 weeks. But all the handwriting was the same. Cramped, aggressive, every letter like a scream someone tried to swallow. Then I noticed a pattern. Every 10 pages or so, the ink changed. But the names didn't. Same entries. Same patients. Same dates. Just rewritten, over and over. Every month, for years. I found room 209 down a long, shivering hallway. The door was ajar. The room inside was clean. Too clean. It looked like a staged photo. Bed perfectly made. Single toothbrush on the sink. No personal items. But something felt wrong. Hey. The mirror above the sink was covered from behind. That doesn't sound scary, I know. But something about it made my stomach twist. The screws were on the wrong side. The glass wasn't reflective. It was dark. It's like looking into still water at night. And then the sink faucet turned on. I spun around. Nothing. The water ran red for 5 seconds, then clear. I tried to leave. Every hallway turned me back to the front desk. Every door I opened took me deeper into the building. The west wing, then the basement, then the morgue. I didn't mean to go down there. The lights flickered like a dying pulse, and I swear, I never opened the freezer drawers. They just rolled out on their own. One was empty. The next held a shape under a sheet. Too small for an adult. Too large for a child. I looked, it was Daniel, close, but he was smiling. And his name tag taped to the drawer said, pending arrival, June 19th. That's next week. Footsteps above me, dozens, fast, like someone was running in every hallway at once. And then, over the intercom, a voice visitor detected in North Ward began processing. Room 209 now vacant. Not sure how I got out. When I woke up, I was in my car. Parked off the gravel road, engine cold. My phone said 3:33 a.m., even though I'd arrived in daylight. I drove home straight, no stops. I tried searching for St. Elora again. The website was gone. Even the town it's supposed to be in doesn't exist anymore. But here's the part that won't go away. I have a voicemail on my phone, left last night at 2:17 a.m. I didn't recognize the number, but the transcription says, "Hey, it's Danny. They said I could call. You should visit again." They made the room just like home. I listened to it once. It wasn't his voice. It used his words. but it sounded like something was wearing his throat like a coat. The cadence was just off. And in the background, you can hear the gurneys rolling. Edit, 1:06 a.m. My apartment smells like antiseptic. And I just found a toothbrush in my sink. Still wet. Went tag on it says, room 209.